For much of 2025, McLaren looked untouchable. Their MCL39 was the benchmark car, winning 7 of the first 10 races and cruising towards another Constructors Championship. On paper, it was dominance, but beneath the surface, a dangerous gamble was already unfolding, one that would only reveal its consequences as Formula One marched towards 2026, because while McLaren chose to switch off development early and focus everything on the future, Red Bull did the opposite. They kept pushing, kept upgrading, and kept extracting performance right until the final races. And now, as Red Bull unveils its next-generation car under the 2026 regulations, McLaren boss Zak Brown has admitted something few championship-winning teams ever do: genuine concern. Subscribe now, because this video explains why McLaren's biggest risk in years could either define a golden era or hand Red Bull total control of the 2026 season. To understand why McLaren now finds itself uneasy heading into 2026, we need to rewind to the moment they made one of the boldest strategic calls of the ground effect era. At the height of their dominance in 2025, McLaren chose to stop developing their championship-winning MCL39, not because they were struggling, but precisely because they were winning. 7 victories in the first 10 races gave them a cushion that allowed the team to think beyond the present. While rivals chased lap time, McLaren chased the future. From a technical standpoint, the decision was ruthless but logical. Engineering director Neil Holdley confirmed that upgrades had reached the stage of diminishing returns. 30 milliseconds was considered a good gain, a clear signal that the concept was already close to its limit. Continuing development would have consumed precious wind tunnel hours, CFD runs, and engineering manpower that could instead be redirected toward the most disruptive regulation change Formula One has seen in over a decade, because 2026 is not an evolution, it is a reset. Active aerodynamics, new power units, revised energy deployment, and a completely different aerodynamic philosophy mean that lessons from 2025 carry far less value than teams might hope. McLaren believed that arriving early to this new battlefield, with more data, more iterations, and fewer compromises, would outweigh the short-term cost of losing race-winning pace late in 2025, but Red Bull never played along. While McLaren switched off development, Red Bull doubled down. The RB21 continued to receive updates deep into the season, allowing Max Verstappen to claw back performance just when McLaren's advantage began to evaporate. That decision alone transformed what should have been a comfortable drivers' championship into a last race shootout decided by just 2 points. And this is where the strategic tension truly begins. Red Bull's continued development may have cost them time on the 2026 project, but it also allowed them to refine operational execution, validate aerodynamic philosophies, and maintain competitive sharpness until the very end. McLaren, by contrast, accepted visible performance decline in exchange for theoretical future gains. Zak Brown now openly admits that McLaren is in a waiting game, waiting to see whether that theoretical advantage materializes, or whether Red Bull's relentless development culture once again proves decisive. What amplifies McLaren's anxiety is the Red Bull-Ford partnership. Inside the paddock, there is growing belief that Red Bull's power unit program has been significantly underestimated. The combination of Red Bull powertrains, infrastructure, and Ford's technical resources could prove devastatingly effective under the new hybrid rules. And unlike rivals, Red Bull enters 2026 with a proven system built around one driver, Max Verstappen. McLaren's internal situation is far more complex. Yes, they secured a second consecutive Constructors Championship, yes. Lando Norris finally became a world champion, but the margin was painfully thin, and the journey exposed weaknesses that cannot be ignored. Operational errors from the Las Vegas double disqualification to the Qatar safety car misjudgment reopened the door for Verstappen at critical moments. Add slow pit stops, a technical retirement in Zandvoort, and internal tension around team orders, and the picture becomes clear. McLaren were fast but not flawless. Zak Brown's response to this has been brutally honest. In his message to fans, Brown acknowledged mistakes without deflection. He framed 2025 not as a perfect season, but as a stress test, one that revealed where McLaren still needs to grow. According to Brown, these errors forced the team to mature faster, communicate better, and respond under genuine championship pressure. And that may be McLaren's greatest hope for 2026. Because while technical regulations reset performance, psychological strength carries over. The experience of managing a tight title fight, handling internal rivalry, and surviving external pressure could give McLaren an edge that no wind tunnel can replicate. Then there is Oscar Piastri. While Norris grabbed headlines, Piastri quietly emerged as one of the most complete drivers on the grid, leading the championship during parts of 2025. He demonstrated racecraft. Furthermore, the driver dynamic cannot be overstated. Red Bull's monolithic structure around Max Verstappen provides clarity and singular purpose. Every strategic and developmental decision is made to maximize the potential of one historically gifted driver. McLaren, while boasting arguably the strongest driver pairing on the grid in Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri, faces the complex task of managing two equal title ambitions. The internal harmony Brown seeks is delicate. The stress of a new development race could either forge an unstoppable united front or expose fissures in their partnership, especially if the 2026 car initially favors one driver's style over the others. In conclusion, the 2026 season is shaping up to be a definitive test of competing philosophies in modern Formula One. It is a clash between McLaren's high-risk, high-reward bet on the supremacy of focused innovation for a new era and Red Bull's faith in the enduring power of a refined, relentless, and race-hardened competitive machine. The waiting game Brown describes is a tense vigil to see which form of capital, the intellectual capital of early research or the experiential capital of continuous competition, proves more valuable when the slate is wiped completely clean. The answer will not only decide the 2026 championship, but could validate one strategic doctrine over the other for years to come. Composure and adaptability far beyond his experience level. Zak Brown's praise was not symbolic, it was strategic. McLaren knows that entering a regulation reset with two genuine title contenders is both a blessing and a risk, because balance matters. Red Bull's structure is clear. Everything orbits Verstappen. McLaren must manage ambition internally, while fighting an external giant that thrives on singular focus. In a season where development paths will diverge rapidly, internal harmony could be just as important as aerodynamic efficiency. And that brings us back to the central question. McLaren sacrificed certainty for potential. Red Bull sacrificed future preparation for present pressure. Both paths carry danger. Both paths could define the next era of Formula One. As the 2026 regulations draw closer, one thing is undeniable. McLaren's dominance at the end of the ground effect era guarantees nothing the slate will be wiped clean, and for the first time in years. Even Zak Brown admits that McLaren does not control the narrative. They can only wait and hope they chose correctly. So what do you think? Did McLaren play this perfectly? Or did they open the door? A Red Bull's revenge? Will the Norris-Piastri partnership defend their dominance in the new era, or will Verstappen return with Ford power and reclaim control of Formula One? Give your opinion in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss other interesting videos from us. If you ever Staps,